Today we will be continuing the previous chapter, human rights. So we have few topics to cover up. So we'll see those topics today. So last class I told you that I'll explain these basic principles of human rights. So I hope you remember the last class, like what is human rights. It's nothing but certain standards or principles or norms that describes the human behavior and protect it as natural and legal rights in our country. So the human rights, we consider these four terms as the basic principles of human rights, which is equality, justice, independence, and dignity. So what is equality? From the word itself we can say equality is nothing but being equal and treating everybody equal. So equality is about making sure that everyone has chance to take part in society on equal basis, regardless of race, age, language, or religion. The next one is justice. Justice is being fair or reasonable to one another, which means we have to treat everybody equally, and also we have to respect about their opinions and thoughts, and we have to act fair and reasonable to each other, and that is called justice. Next is independence, which is also called as freedom. Freedom to choose or to make decisions without anyone interfering. That is called independence. Sometimes we even term it as independent life and independent situation, independent, and we expect freedom in whatever we do at a certain age. So similarly, independence is very, very much important so that everyone can make decisions without others' opinions, because everyone has rights to decide their own life. The fourth one is dignity, being valued and respected for what you are. So everyone has to have their own dignity. Being a human being, everyone feels that we need to be valued and we need to be respected, and our thoughts should be respected and valued, and we cannot simply let anybody discriminate us. And so dignity is very important in human beings. So rights to equality. So in the last chapter we discussed about rights to live and rights for dignity, all those topics. So today we'll be covering three important rights from the Constitution of India. So this is Article 14, rights to equality. So what does the Article 14 says? It states that the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. So it is one of the 6 fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. So in total we have 6 rights. So this is one among those rights, and it includes equality before law, prohibition of discrimination on grounds of race, religion, gender, and caste or birthplace. So In simple words, we can say it is a right to live with equal opportunities. So like I said before, equality is nothing but treating everybody equal. That is why this article was made or published in the Indian Constitution. Right to equality not only applies to citizens of India but also to all the people within the territory of India. So equality, it is not only for the low grade people or not only for the middle class people, it also includes the high class people or VIPs or the Prime Minister, President, each and every citizen of India, whoever has owned the rights to be the citizen of India, all of them are given a right to be treated equally. So not only the high class people, sometimes we even say them as high class, right? So this not only rights to equality does not apply only to the high class people, it is mainly for the low class people and for the middle class people and for all types of people to save. So this is applicable to every citizen, from Prime Minister to an ordinary individual. So right from the Prime Minister, President and all those levels till the ordinary middle class individual, it is applicable to everybody. It prohibits unfair discrimination by the government and by private organization and individuals, and forbids hate speech and harassment. So why this right to equality was brought up in the Indian Constitution? This is mainly to bring equality and not to make any difference from like within two people, right? So we are not supposed to discriminate people, because in this world and in this generation we face many discriminations, be it schools or be it colleges or be it workplace. Wherever you go and whatever you do, there are still people who criticize what you do, and there are people who still discriminates the way you are. So those kind of things should not happen. So that is why this article was brought up in the Indian Constitution. So we are not supposed to make difference between people, and we are not supposed to let people discriminate us. And some of them we see in movies, and we have seen even in person, like people used to harass, or people treats other people very aggressively, and they even try to force and bully other people who are very innocent people and very quiet people. So all those kind of things has to be stopped, and all those kind of things has to be eliminated from the country. So that is why this article was brought up in the Indian Constitution. So next is right against exploitation. So what is exploitation? So from the picture, I hope you see a small kid carrying and working, which he is not supposed to do at his age. So I hope you will at least get a little bit of clue what it could be. So this was published as Article 23 and 24, right against exploitation. So exploitation is nothing but treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. So to get the work from people done, they benefit these kind of people. Like this right was especially brought up to make the child labor illegal. So that is why it is being introduced. It was being introduced. So the right against exploitation in the Indian Constitution guarantees dignity of the individual. It also prohibits the exploitation or misuse of service by force or inducement. So people, in some cases, when there are people are from low poverty, they purposely want to come and work, and they purposely make their children work. But in this case, this was brought up only because there are some people who forcefully, aggressively, they force the children to come and work. So people who are in very poverty and who are in need of money, they don't even think about their children education and other kind of future benefits, and they make their children to work. So these kind of things, especially this happens in India, it's still continuing. So this right was brought up for that. And example, this right, it prohibits human trafficking, that is, it criminalizes buying and selling of human beings like a commodity. So they buy these kind of poor people and they make them to work and they force them to work, and they don't even get paid for what they are doing. So this is still happening in low poverty and low income people. So mainly there are three things that targets this exploitation. So first thing is human trafficking. Trafficking means selling and buying of human beings, usually women, for immoral purposes. So there are women who go willingly to for all immoral behaviors, but there are also women who are very innocent, and there are also girl child who are still being used for immoral purposes by our people. So the second thing is begging. Our constitution also prohibits slavery or begging in any form. Like we have seen in many movies, right? That they make the children, they will make them to beg in the roads, and they'll ask them to bring money, and if they don't give enough money, and they'll just again torture or beat them or anything. So all those things, for that this right was brought up. And child labor, the constitution also prohibits child labor. So these are the three important things that are tackled by the right against exploitation. So these kind of cases are tackled by the rights against exploitation. The right against exploitation seeks to protect citizens from being forced to work against their wishes. Some forms of exploitation have been declared illegal. One of these is beggar or bonded labor, which involves making people work without wages to repay loans. Sometimes they even does not pay the money for what they are working, and because since they are not aware of what they are doing, the children and those kind of age group people, so they'll just make them to work, and they'll get the work out of them, and then in the end they won't even pay them. So these kind of things are still happening in India. That is why the right against exploitation was brought up in the constitution. So the next thing is the Article 30, which is cultural and educational rights. So these rights were especially made up for a group of people, like for a community who wants to educate, who wants to work among a group. That is why this was brought up. So this article states that all minority communities, whether religion or linguistic or language, have the right to start and run educational institutions of their choice. So people like even us. We have also seen like all the Tamil. There are few colleges where only Tamil people are, like Tamil college we have. So those kind of things. So for them to start an educational institutions to bring a difference from their own group and to make their own choice of plans, they brought this cultural and educational rights. So the cultural and educational rights preserve the right of any section of citizens to conserve their culture, language or script, the right of minorities to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. So like I said, they want to, minority people means a group of small community or a small group, like we have caste system right here, what do you say, Nada, Radi, Dravida, so all those things. So people who want their own group to be separate and make a difference among the other people, and they want to train them with their own choice and their own way, and they have their own way of eating and they have their own way of dressing. So that is why this cultural rights was brought up, and the objective of these rights is to guarantee that people and communities have an access to culture and can participate in the culture of their selection. Cultural rights are human rights that aim at assuring the enjoyment of culture and its components and conditions of equality, human dignity and non-discrimination. So this was not just brought up for discriminating other people, but they have their own rights to have a small community where they can match up with their own activities and everything. The cultural and educational rights preserve the right of any selection of citizen to conserve their culture, language or script, and right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. So the next is economical, civil and social rights. So I know this is a very, 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 very boring topics. So but we have no choice other than to explain something what we learnt from this. So even this is a very new topics for me also, so please bear with me and my explanations. So economic, social and cultural rights include the human right to work, the right to an adequate standard of living including food, clothing, housing, right to physical and mental health, the right to social security, right to a healthy environment and right to education. So it introduces some provisions due to the necessity to protect a democratic system, the interest of national security or public safety, public order, health, morals, and protection of rights and freedom of others. So these kind of rights are not to, harm anybody else or make a difference. So this was actually brought up to make a standard of living among the people. So even now we have this kind of social systems, like be it food, like we can take an example of food. So some are vegetarian and some are non-vegetarian, some are also vegetarian, people who eat egg but still they are vegetarian. So we have a separate community, like wherever we go for a wedding or if we have a party in the departments, we always split the people according to their own culture and rights, right? So some of them would prefer vegetarian, some of them would prefer non-vegetarian, so just like that. And we can also take it in caste system, like Brahmins, they eat only vegetarian, and the Brahmins are totally different from other people, non-Brahmins who eats vegetarian, right? So it's totally different. Even vegetarians are even more complicated, and the Brahmins are more complicated than the normal vegetarians. So they have a group of community, like So those are kind of examples that I can give. And also when it comes to dressing, so in our population itself, a few group of people, they will be preferring to wear say for example ladies or girls or women. Few community people, they will accept wearing casuals like jean and t-shirt like boys, but there are still few community in our India, South India or North India, they still do not accept wearing jean and t-shirt, women wearing jean and t-shirt, right? They want girls to wear only like sari or chudi salwar or whatever it is. So there are differences between our, though we do not expose it very well with other people, but if we go into it, we will realize at some point that there are differences between people among us and people around us, right? So these are the kind of social activities that they are mentioning here. Political rights include natural justice in law, such as the rights of the accused, including the rights to a fair trial, due process, right to seek redress or a legal remedy, and rights to participate in civil society, politics such as freedom of association, right to assemble. So these are the rights that was developed to clearly that relates to law, legal and other things. So the right to petition, the right to self-defense and the right to vote. So political rights mainly talks about the law and the legal items. So right to vote, like you can say every citizen has the right to vote. Being in India, every citizen has the right to vote. So these are the kind of political rights. Social rights include the rights to an adequate standard of living, affordable housing, food, education, an equitable health system, social security based on respect, not sanctions. There is evidence that they improve the lives of individuals and communities. So these are for people to for the government to make sure that the people are being given adequate living and housing, food and education. So this will also include the ration and the water supply that is given by the government, and they just want to make sure that the people who are among the poverty line, that they have enough kind of, what do you call it as, enough kind